Hey, what's up YouTube? Today I'm going to try to do an engine mount on a 2011 Nissan Altima. This is the non-hybrid 2.5 SL, but it should apply to several other year makes and models with the 2.5 engine in it. It may even be the same on the hybrid, but I'm not 100% on that. Typically I'd recommend disconnecting the negative battery terminal before doing any kind of service on your vehicle. That way you can make sure that nothing gets shorted, or since you're going to be somewhat close to the alternator here. So I really just need some basic hand tools. Now I have some pneumatic air tools, which is just going to help speed up the process a little bit. Now I'm going to try to remember to pop a video in the beginning of this clip or at the end, or somewhere throughout this video. I'm going to put a footage of why I'm doing this mount. In the winter time, I get a lot of body vibration from the engine idle at a high cold idle, which is considered to be normal in some cases, especially when you're dealing with colder temperatures, and bushings and mounts get a little bit more firm because of the extreme cold. But I noticed that like the steering wheel and the dash and the inside of the car vibrates like really bad, and I'll show you that video. So a bunch of people recommended that I change the main primary engine mount, which is considered also the insulator mount, is what they call it. It's this guy right here. Well, it sits right here over on the passenger side. This is your coolant, your this is for your windshield solvent here, and then your power steering. So I'm going to try to do this the most or least aggressive way, so I don't have to tear a whole bunch of stuff apart. Pretty confident I'm going to be able to do this without taking too much apart. What we got here is some basic hand tools. We have the new mount here, which I ordered from Nissan. I recommend actually getting an actual Nissan mount instead of an aftermarket, so that you don't have to worry about replacing it again in 3 months. Now with these, I got this on the Amazon for $105.99, which is a pretty darn good deal, considering the dealership wanted $300 for this mount. And your basic hand tools, your sockets. Like I said, I'm using pneumatic tools just to speed things up. A nice long ratcheting breaker bar, and some extensions, things like that. So, but one thing we will have to do, which is a word of caution, is you do have to jack up the engine and support it. So I have a jack here with a board, and I'm going to put that in on the oil pan. Do that at your own risk. I'm not going to give you full 100% details on how to do that. Just have to do your own research on that part. But I'm going to slide the jack under there, get a little bit of pressure upward on the engine so that I can disconnect all this. So once I get it jacked up, I will bring you back, and then I'm going to start removing this decorative cover they have on here, which I believe uses an Allen, and that is going to be it looks like a 5 on an Allen. So hold tight and we'll be back here shortly. All right, I got that jack under the oil pan there, so I'm going to start going ahead and loosening these 3 fasteners with the Allen here to take this decorative cover off. Get this guy out of the way. Put these in a safe place. Okay. Obviously you want to do this on a cool car. Of course I'm doing this on a hot engine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, before we start loosening anything up over here to tackle this, we're going to go ahead and loosen this here, this torque mount here. This is a 18 millimeter on here. I don't know if the ratcheting it'll get it loose or not. I'm going to try it and see if it'll crack it loose. If not, I can get a regular socket on there. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. There, okay. Get that loosened up like so. Now you will have to move this power steering reservoir out of the way to make some room. In order to do that, there's a little clip down here which you can get a flathead screwdriver and kind of pop this out of the way. So hold tight, I'll go get a screwdriver and we'll do that next. Okay, so I went ahead and popped this reservoir out using like a Phillips head screwdriver. So what that'll do is that's going to enable us to get in here and work this torque mount, which actually isn't that old, this torque mount, so still fairly new. Grab that screwdriver here, just give a little back pressure on it. Oh, get a little tight. I got up against that, get caught up on the air conditioning unit there, so they don't really make this easy. Let's try to get it at this angle. It feels like it coming out now, so let's move that out of the way. See if I can get a hold of it here. That to stay out of the way. Really need to invest in some decent gloves. Everything's kind of hot. I should be doing this in a cold engine, but it's a problem when you live in a townhouse. You can't really do anything there, so you got to drive home to do it, and then you're limited on time. So it's the beauty of not having a place to work on stuff. It's gonna be 7 hours of me unscrewing this bolt. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to pull that out. It's a pretty long one, as you can see there, so I'm going to put that aside out of the road. So that gets this guy free from the engine, so it's not interfering with doing any of this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a, looks like it might be a 10 if I were to take a, if I was a gambling man. 10. Make sure you guys are still in the frame here. The only thing about the GoPro, I gotta fix this new GoPro I got. It times out so quick, the screen, so I can't see what's going on. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and remove this 10. I should have an extension so I don't scratch my light. Almost lost the 10. That would have been a irony there, let me tell you. So this is removing the coolant overflow. The only reason why I'm doing this is so that I'm trying to do as much as I can without using any pneumatic tools, just so you guys can see that this is doable with just basic hand tools. Alright, so that's a 10. We're going to put that aside here. I'm not sure what holds this in. I'm assuming it's just on a grommet. Yeah, it's on a clip. So we're going to pull this up and out of the way, and I'm going to try to support it somewhere where it hopefully won't leak all the coolant out. It should be okay right there as long as it's propped up. And then what I'm going to do is, just so I don't get confused of where stuff goes, I'm just going to ease this fastener back in here a little bit. Like so. I don't want this sitting on the exhaust manifold because it's pretty hot there. So now let me move some tools out of the road. Okay, so hopefully that's a good view for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and start working on taking these upper bolts out here, which are going to be for the that actually holds the engine bracket on. Alright, so let's see what I'm going to need here. First off, we're probably going to loosen this down here, which you probably can't see. See what that is. It looks like it might be a, looks like an 18 if I were to take a guess. Could be a little bit smaller. 18 does the trick. Okay, so that's an 18. back on loosen. Okay, I need an extension here. Let's get down on that guy. May have to break that puppy loose, unfortunately, with a breaker bar. I believe I put Loctite on it the last time I had it off. I was just hoping that would finagle itself off. Jeez, that's got Loctite on it. All right. Okay. On there. Now you don't want to lose this fastener because you're going to have to reuse it, so I'm going to put it on the new mount so I don't lose it temporarily. Alright, now that's loose. Feels like the engine is definitely off of the mount. I can feel it already. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these bolts here. So let's see what size those are. Let's see, what is our lucky number going to be? So those are 16s. Yep, they were all 16s. Taking this bracket off, which is actually a genius idea for them to do this design, because if you take this bracket off, that gives you the ability to better be able to get this mount out of here. So those crack loose pretty good. That's loose. Okay. Make sure they all feel good. And then we can use some air tools on them. Make sure you guys are still in the frame here. Yes, good. Okay. Get some air here. Okay, so what we're going to do is use some air tools here. That one's out. Leave that there. That one's just about out. Jack this engine up a little better. It looks like it's leaning on me here. There we go. All right, should be all loose. So these two look like really long ones here. These two close to the side. So I'm going to lift it straight up like this. Get something to hold it with because it's still hot. Lift it straight up like this. Try to maneuver it around the thing there. And we're going to sit it like this somewhere so we know where they all go. Alright, now we're down to the actual mount, which the engine is completely on the jack at this point, so we're on the mount now. So now we're going to go and get some extensions here and see if we can get down to some of these bolts down here. So I'll be back in a minute once I get some more tools. Okay, we're back on again. What we're gonna do is we gotta take out this guy down here. There's one here, and then one down there where I have it attached. That's the 16. Now it would be more beneficial to get this torque mount out of the way, which you have to loosen these two fasteners here and kind of pry this up to get this bolt out. I'm just loosening it and trying to pivot it over to make less work for myself. So we're gonna go ahead, and that's what I'm doing. Those are 16 millimeters. So I'm going to try to get you in a screen here. You can see what I'm doing. So that's what I'm going to work on now. Make sure I'm on that all the way. Get them cracked loose. Then I can actually use like regular tools to, or air tools to loosen the rest of the way. A little tipsy-topsy when you have a wobble on it. I don't like doing that, but it makes it so I don't have to put as much pressure on that AC line. They're surprisingly loose. Okay, so I know they all crack loose, so that means now I can get down in there with the air ratchet, and that'll kind of make things a little easier and speed things up a little bit. Try to maneuver down in there. Can't see what I'm doing here. That's loose. We'll go down and do this one. We can do this one. Alright, those all feel loose now. Now we should be able to take these out and lay them in a safe place. Now these ones on the bottom, this front one's pretty long, as you can see here. Put that over there. Probably need a magnet for the other one. Yeah, the other one's pretty long too. So that one's also a long one. They look like they're the same size. We'll put them in order anyway. So now it's just gonna be a matter of trying to maneuver this thing out of here without breaking anything. Gotta watch your lines there. And an engine mount is born. So I'm gonna go prep the new one and be right back. Alright, so I don't know how much of that you saw, but we're going to try to go ahead and maneuver the new mount in. I've got it all configured. Just configure it the same way the old one is. I'm trying to remember how I did this. I believe we kind of snuck it down past all this. How did I do that? Line them up in the holes down there. I think this goes possibly under the power steering line, so let me reconfigure that. Now I painted myself into a corner is what I've done. Apparently, I guess that goes under the, yeah, that goes under the power steering line. So I gotta try to finagle this so. Okay, so unfortunately this GoPro overheated and shut off from being in a direct sunlight. So hopefully it cooled off enough and I can show you. So I got a little ahead of the game, just try to get this project moving. So I got these 16mm, the two long ones that which go down, you know, way down in there. Got those back in, got this short one back in, got those torqued. So what I'm gonna do is before I attach the torque mount back on and tighten that up, I want to get the engine supported by the mount instead of having it on this floor jack. I just feel more comfortable. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the that bracket that I pulled off that I kept the bolts in earlier, get that mounted on. And if you look here, you can see witness marks of where it was. You want to line that up as close as you can to where it was. So I'm gonna grab that bracket, get you positioned, and let you take a look at that. All right, try to move this reservoir a little bit more out of the way if I can. Oh, leaking coolant everywhere. Make some room so you can see. Let me go ahead and grab that bracket. You can try to keep that camera in the shade because otherwise it's going to keep shutting off on me. So hopefully this all lines back up. So what we want to do is just drop these two long guys, go back into the engine. And these short ones will go. Let me make sure you can see what I'm seeing. Yeah, it looks like you're in good view. So always get them all started by hand. Make sure you line up onto your mount over here. It's a good time to check for oil leaks while you're in here. So I can see there, everything seems to be about where it was, witness mark wise. All right, so let's get that tightened back down. What were these, 16s? Yeah, I got lucky. All right, we'll get those tightened now. We'll torque them in a minute, but let's just use some air tools here to make life a little simpler. So it actually picked the engine up, so that's good. Right, now I can tighten those with the ratchet or the breaker bar. I'm sure there's a factory torque. Obviously, don't be stupid with this, you know. It's about good. You're going through aluminum, so don't be stupid. They might even call for Loctite on this, but I honestly have no idea. I didn't look it up. Yeah, it means it's recording.
I didn't see a thing on it.
Okay, perfect. Now, we got that all lined up. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put blue Loctite on the actual bolt for the, see, it's recording. I'm going to put blue Loctite on here just to keep this from coming loose. So I'll be back in a minute once I get some Loctite ready for it. Okay, so I went ahead and while I still have the engine supported and have this loose, I started that long bolt that goes through into the engine so I can screw that in loosely. I got some Loctite on the main engine mount bolt here to keep that from coming loose. Just some generic Harbor Freight stuff, but it'll do the trick. I mean, I had a hard time getting it off already. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tighten this back on there and tighten this back up by hand. Now we're not going to tighten this all the way down until we get the engine resting back on the mount again. I'm just going to get it snug. Because you don't want to put any extra stress on this bolt going into the aluminum, and you don't, because you want it to go in even and easy. Plus you want it to, the engine actually be in its natural resting position. whenever you tighten this down, so there's no extra strain on these bushings. I'm just going to get it to it's about ready to start to snug up, which is right about there. So I'm going to stop, and then what we're going to do is, now I got this started, I'm going to actually set the engine down with the jack here down onto the mount now. Alright, so the engine is officially sitting on the new engine mount now. So that's done. So now I can go ahead and torque this down properly. Alright, that should be good enough. Tighten this guy down. Like I said, you want the engine to be in its naturally resting position. Probably should use a sock, it'd be a little easier trying to do this. Okay, that's tight enough. Doesn't have to be ridiculous. Now, tighten that down, which I don't know where it went. I think that was a 16 did we discover? Or no, that's an 18. So we need the 18 back. So get the 18 on there. On that guy. Tighten that back down. Noise alert. Alright, so I'll tighten that down with the ratchet here too. You don't want to go too tight on this because you don't want to break them out, but that should be good there. And then I got Loctite on there. I'll clean up any of the extras. Now, all you should have to do is put your coolant reservoir back in place here. Let's make sure you can still see what I'm doing. And remember, I had preemptively put this fastener here for it right here back in its place. I knew where it went. I'm going to take that, try to finagle it back down in here again. There's a little bracket down here I can see that it slips into. You'll kind of see that when you're in there. Make sure your hose isn't kinked and it's run back through where it's supposed to. Put your 10 back in. Grab the 10. And whatever I did with the socket wrench. And if any coolant spilled out, just dry up your mess, and because there's a overflow here on the side of the tank. Just make sure you top off your coolant. Don't want this too tight, it's just going through a metal clip. So, but other than that, I'll give you a quick inside view here, what it looks like. So now we got your new mount in right here. Make sure you reclip your power steering reservoir there. That just holds in by a little clippy right there. And that's your bolt there. Everything looks good. That's your 18 back in with some thread lock on it. Those are down there, are torqued there, and there should be another one that you probably can't even see. It's way down in the middle of that screen there. That's your other one. Make sure they're torqued, and got these down, got these torqued to factory specs. Use your witness marks from where it was to realign it. Make sure you tighten these guys down here. These are 18s. And other than that, all you got to do is now put that decorative cover back on from over there. Just line it up. You have your holes here where your, I think it was your 5 hex, to go ahead and put that back on. Start it up, take it for a drive. This little rubber garment here, I don't know if you can see that or not, this little rubber garment here, that's how it lines up round way this way and square way that way. So hopefully that'll take care of this vibration problem I was having. Like I said, I'll try to insert that footage of that steering wheel vibration I was getting. I already did the transmission mount. about 1.5 to 2 years ago. So, and I checked it, it's still good. This torque mount's not that old. And there's a mount down here as well that is also good. I checked it, it looks fine. This is your one that absorbs all the vibration. This is the main engine mount that holds the majority of the weight of the engine. So when this hydraulic fluid or this bushing goes bad in there, it will no longer absorb vibration. You get a bunch of rattling, clunking, and so on and so forth. So that's it. That's going to wrap this up. I'm going to go ahead and put that decorative cover on, just put those fasteners back in. I think you can handle that your own. That's how you do the side engine mount on your 2011. I think this applies through 2007. Probably goes all the way up to 2013 and even beyond, I would imagine. Nissan Altima with the 2.5. Thanks for watching, guys.